Well, good evening and welcome to Maundy Thursday. It seems very appropriate to me to record this reflection for Maundy Thursday in the garden, particularly as I've just cut the grass and it looks okay. I'm going to apologise in advance because there's lots of bird song. There might be a bit of traffic, you never know. Shouldn't be, of course, because we're in lockdown. And there's a couple of dogs running around and I have no control over what they do, either naturally or unnaturally in the background. But we sit here in this garden at this time of Jewish Passover, the time when Jesus, of course, gathered his friends together for that great religious festival. Jesus in his Judaism, very Jewish, of course, and the Passover, that time when, a time of celebration, of spring, of new birth. You can see the new life all around us and the daffodils and the grass fighting its way back after being cut down, which I think is quite a theological thought and something for us to consider on this Maundy Thursday. And Passover celebration, it's about looking after yourself and also looking after the world. And that's what the Jewish people believed and still believe today. So for Maundy Thursday, Jesus, after quite a tumultuous week, that's an interesting word, tumultuous week, whatever the word is, quite a big week, gathered his friends around him and they had supper together. And of course, during that supper, he broke bread and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body broken for you." He took a cup of wine, gave it to them, said, "This is my blood of the new covenant. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me." He just, of course, said it's in Aramaic or something else, but we've translated it. Hello, pigeon. And then he did this incredible thing. He washed the disciples' feet. This was the beginning of his journey. This was the beginning of the road to Pontius Pilate, to the Garden of Gethsemane, to Calvary, to the tomb, and the beginning of our journey, which is why we're here today. And that's why Maundy Thursday is such an important day. So he took a towel, he wrapped it around his waist, and that of course is symbolized by those of us who are priests or deacons with the stole that we wear around our necks, and that reminds us of the towel that Jesus wore. He took that towel, wrapped it around his waist, and washed his disciples' feet. That just trips off the tongue now, doesn't it? But imagine doing that at a dinner party. Just when you come to the end, before you have the cheese, just say, "Actually, I'm just going to wash all of your feet." A huge statement, a huge thing to do. And not the thing you would expect of a king, not the thing you'd expect of a great leader, but of course the thing, as our hymn will say later, of the servant king, that person who came to serve and to save and to lead. Peter, of course, said, "Hey, you're not washing my feet." And Jesus said, "Of course I am. I'm going to wash your feet, going to wash all of you." He said, "Well, if it's not my feet, just my body as well." And Jesus said, Whoa, Peter, don't go for the top. If you bathe regularly, you're okay. But we bathe each other's feet, which of course was that ancient sign as people walked barefoot or in sandals across the dusty desert, sandy desert, to bathe feet as you walked into a house. And then he went into a garden. Not like this, a garden full of olive trees, been there. And it's beautiful, but it's right in the middle of a sort of built area now, as in those days it wouldn't be. And he sat and he wept and he asked his disciples to come with him. And of course they did, but you know what they did? They fell asleep. They missed out. They couldn't keep going. That, I think, is the challenge. Will you fall asleep this Easter? Will you miss out on what's going on? Will you say, "Actually, I'm far too busy watching catch-ups with Corrie," or whatever it happens to be? Or will you really watch and wait and be? Because Maundy Thursday reminds us, of course, of our Eucharist, which which we celebrate every day and every week. And you know, like you, I'm finding it really tough at the moment. Really tough not being with all of you, not having my friends around me. And yes, we're telephoning, and yes, we're emailing and texting and WhatsApping and doing all those other things that were foreign not that long ago. But actually, we're really missing just being together. But that community of Jesus, that community of disciples, they were together, but they missed it. They fell asleep. They just drifted through, and he got a bit grumpy with them, as he does. He said, "Will you not wake with me for just 1 hour?" But before he left the table, he just reminded them, and this I think is such an important thing. He reminded them that if you wash each other's feet, it will be a sign of love. And he said, "A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you." Then I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen, massive examples of love and of care over the past 2 or 3 weeks as we've been in lockdown and coronavirus. You've seen simple acts and big acts, but actually that is what we're called to do. We're called to remember what Jesus asked us to do, to wash each other's feet, to show this new commandment that we love one another as he loved us. Loved? No, loves. So as we gather for Maundy Thursday, at the end of this Holy Week, where Sandy and Margaret and Richard have shared their experiences with us, which have been so moving, the written word is still so powerful. As we come towards Good Friday, and Grace will speak to us on Good Friday tomorrow, we remember the Last Supper. We remember our part within it. We remember the Garden of Gethsemane. And we see that all the gifts that are around us, the gifts of new life, the gifts of so many different things. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon, because my goodness, I'm missing you all. Thank you for your love and your concern as you obey that new commandment to love one another as he has loved us. Have a wee look at the garden before we go.